I'd say the big difference is a narrative one because
Mhm.
Point Pleasant had John Keel, and the Midwest just has me. And John Keel, he was such a great writer, and he was so entertaining. Like his style was entertaining, but he definitely had I. This is like it's my least popular opinion. So I'm always trying to find new ways to phrase it to somehow be less offensive, but I don't think there is a way
Sure.
to do it. So it's
Yeah.
probably better to just pull off the stupid band-aid. But yeah, he never let the truth get in the way of a good story. And
Uh-huh. Sure.
when he was writing the Mothman prophecies, what it very much seems to me is that okay, well, first of all, if the Mothman prophecies was just about Mothman sightings, like strictly Mothman sightings, it would have been like 50 pages long. It would have been like
Hmm.
a novella at best. You know,
Right.
you could have just distributed it as a pamphlet. And so he included all of this other stuff that, like these other stories he had heard from that region. And I think he speculated a lot about connections that might have been between them because, he really was very heavily influenced by Charles Fort. And if people don't know who Charles Fort is, he was an early 20th century writer who collected weird news stories from all over the entire world, and he would compile them and try to make connections between these weird events and sort of speculate what might be behind it. He gave us the word teleportation, like he coined that
Oh,
word, did
okay.
not exist
Yeah.
before Charles Fort. Yeah, and yeah, so like he was very influential. He's kind of like the H.P. Lovecraft of the paranormal, right? Like the
Uh-huh.
most
Sure.
influential, like the single most influential person that most people have not heard of.
Hmm.
Like that's Charles Fort.
Right.
And so, like John Keel was in adherent to Fort's sort of philosophy of making these weird connections. And so he included all of this extra stuff in there that people have since sort of taken as gospel. And I'm like, I don't think you really get Keel if you read that and go, oh, this is all meant to be taken as 100% literally true in every
Uh,
case,
right.
because it's demonstrably not. And I think that he was a good enough storyteller too to recognize that generally speaking, there's a reason most stories are written in three acts, right? And so when the Silver Bridge happened, and keep in mind, the Silver Bridge collapsed in what's 1967, and the Mothman prophecies didn't come out until almost 10 years later. And so like Gray Barker had written his book about all that stuff like before this. I mean, a lot had happened since then. And
Uh-huh.
so I think looking back on it, there's this golden opportunity in writing that book now where it's like, okay, none of this stuff ever really ends, but I want an ending for this book, and the Silver
Right.
Bridge is right there, you know?
Right.
And
You had the
so,
ultimate tragedy just right there to conclude things. So yeah. Yeah,
right,
I get it completely. I think that's it's interesting you said that because one of the things that I've said on here, and it's not popular when I say it to the kind of serious Sasquatch researchers, is like, I don't actually want it to be solved, right? Like, I don't like want them to find an ape and they're like, oh, now we have this ape, and I feel like it's a little weirder than that, anyways. But I'm like, even if it is just an ape that we haven't discovered, I kind of like it to be a legend. Like, I don't want someone to shoot one just so we can prove it. That seems very like selfish of us. Like, us humans need to know about it or else it doesn't matter. Like, who cares about us if we
right,
know or not? Like, let it be. But having that as from the story perspective, like even like oral storytelling, right? Where you like, yeah, you have the wood boogers or whatever, you probably do mythologize it a little bit to set a greater point or something to the kids or just to make a better story that people are going to remember. So I think that's an interesting way. Is there anything with Mothman that's kind of like the not safe for work or like the taboo? Like, I know with like Sasquatch, like people will say, oh, they saw lights or they saw it kind of do like a spider crawl or that like these weird, completely not ape or associated with UFOs or things. And I know Mothman did have, I think, some association even with Keel with UFOs and things in the region. But is there anything
right.
like that with Mothman that maybe like it gets people say it, but it's one of those things people don't like to talk about or it doesn't usually get printed, or referenced.
Pretty much everything I just said about Keel. I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, um,
Sure.
it's true. One of the things that I think we have to realize in this field is that the vast majority of people just want to be entertained by these stories. Like the people that I would consider myself as helping are a small minority.
Sure.
And most people just want to be entertained. They don't care if it's true as long as it's a cool story. And so if you splash a bunch of cold water on them by telling them, well, a lot of this probably isn't real in the way that you might hope it's real,
Right.
it's not very popular, frankly.
Uh-huh.
And or it isn't necessarily popular. It's certainly not popular with the sort of entrenched authorities or self-declared authorities that want ownership of these stories, which
Right.
seems silly, but they do exist.
Sure.
And so like there are people with a real stake in this mythology, and if you upset the apple cart, right, then they don't like it,
Mm-hmm.
and so they don't always react super well. But one thing that I had to learn very early in my career was that I can't just go full nerd on people all the time and be like, no, let me sit down and explain to you for 2.5 hours like
Right.
everything that isn't true that was printed in the Mothman prophecies. Like nobody wants to hear that. So
Right.
you have to work it in a way that's still entertaining. You have to be able to still like you have to be able to spin a good yarn, even if the purpose of that yarn is to unspin other yarns. Like
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
it is a skill that you have to develop if you care about whether or not something is real or not, and I very much do.
Right. Right.
So that's that. I think that's honestly it, because when it comes to like taboo subjects with Mothman that exist within sort of the realm of the paranormal, nothing is off limits. Like that is the vein that Keel tapped, is
Mm-hmm.
basically saying that every single weird thing anywhere is all connected, and it's connected in this way that is all around us all the time, and Mothman's a part of it, and UFOs are a part of it, and like contactees are a part of it, and you can be a part of it too. All you got to do is believe, and
Uh-huh.
that's
Sure.
attractive. I get it. I
Yeah.
very much do, but it's also probably not real. So we should, in my opinion, it's more valuable to concentrate on the real. And there's lots of weird stuff that I think has a higher likelihood of being real, that
Uh-huh.
is still plenty interesting. And I think the entertaining way to go about that is to speculate openly instead of, sort of couching it as this reliable narration when it is not. And just say to people, hey, look, what I do know is that people experience things they can't explain relatively frequently, and that is fascinating, and it could mean a number of things, one of which maybe could be ultra terrestrials, or some other aspect of Keel's philosophy, but it could also be this other stuff. So we should talk about that a little bit too.
Thanks for checking out this clip of Writers Drinking Whiskey. For the full interview, check out the main channel. I'll have it linked on the screen here and in the description. I'm sure you know where that is. And if you want more from Writers Drinking Whiskey, check us out on the main channel. We have full-length interviews, author panels, shenanigans of the highest order. It is a load of fun. We hope to see you there. Cheers.